Before we start, I might thank Dawn for saving my knee from extreme embarrassment. I forgot my floor report, so that's why I'm here at the last second. Thanks again, Dawn. Okay, I have a call to order for our meeting today, and let's all please rise and pledge allegiance to the flag. Thank you. And if you give the roll call, Dawn, please.
Gables East first floor, Peggy Harris.
Here.
Gables East third floor, Dorothy Savigny.
Present.
Gables East fourth floor, John Dorotix.
Here.
Gables East fifth floor, Nancy Wojciechowski.
Yes. Here.
Gables West first floor, Bob Case.
Here.
Also second floor.
Here.
Gables West third floor, Judith Lackland.
Here.
Gables West fourth floor, Beverly Winslow.
Present.
Gables West fifth floor, Ron Sharpless.
I'm here.
Harbor Terrace, Bob Vita. Everyone is accounted for.
Okay, we got a quorum, huh? Any corrections or comments on the minutes of last month's meeting? If not, may I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
In favor? Opposed? Minutes have been approved. Moving on, administrative report from Brian Hess.
Well, good morning, everybody. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, so I have somewhat of a long report today, and I apologize, so I'm going to try and go through this as quick as possible for the essence of time. I'll start with occupancy. So we are currently at 270 apartments, 350 residents, and that is a 65% occupancy rate. In October, we are targeting currently 6 move-ins, 6 move-outs. So those move-outs, we had 3 transfers to our healthcare center. We had 2 folks that moved out with family up north, and 1 death, unfortunately. We currently have 95 residents in our skilled nursing, 47 in our assisted living, and 37 in memory care. So one of the things, just as a comment on occupancy, as everybody knows, we've seen our occupancy decline since the pandemic started. It has been a very heavy focus for us from a strategic standpoint, and we've had a couple of complaints come through about noise in construction in apartments recently. So part of our strategic plan was to build make-ready units that folks could move right into so that they were, prepped and ready to go. And as part of that, we have had a lot of units under construction currently. So as of, I think, last week, I was running a count. I think we had like 31 units on our list of units that were being worked on. So, one, we apologize for the noise. If there is noise next to your unit, above your unit, below your unit, you know, those units usually take anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks to complete for all of the construction to be done. Not all of that is noisy, okay? So some of that, the demolition obviously is a very noisy process, some install of things, and we apologize for that noise. But you know, we do have a lot of units under construction currently. If there's anything that is just unbearable or something that's happening in the unit next to you, please reach out to us. You know, we'll do what we can to try to, you know, limit the amount of noise that's coming out of those units. Sometimes it's just, you know, stuff that has to take place at some point. So, thank you. Dorothy told me to take my mask off so I'm not so muffled. Anyway, if anybody does have some concerns about noise in an apartment next to theirs or above theirs or below theirs, please let us know and we'll see what we can do to help that along. So a quick COVID update. Positivity rates have come down significantly in the state of Florida. If anybody watches that, the state of Florida currently is at a 3.4% positivity rate. If you can recall several months back, you know, we were at 15 and plus percent positivity rate, so it's come down pretty significantly. Charlotte County is at 5.2%, where we were previously over 20% in Charlotte County. So that's been a lot of great progress for us. We currently on our campus have no confirmed positive staff members. We do have one positive resident still at this point that will be hopefully coming off that positive list this week. Also to note, the CDC COVID Data Tracker Community Transmission Detail Report, that's a mouthful. Basically, the CDC runs a report on a weekly basis, and they look to see how much is COVID being transmitted within particular counties. And so it gives a scale, a green, yellow, orange, or red scale. And the whole state of Florida was red for a long time. We're now seeing most of the state of Florida is orange. There's some yellows in there, which is good. I haven't seen any green yet on it, but we're working that way. We currently in Charlotte County are at an orange, which is a substantial amount of community spread. It is not red anymore, which was kind of at critical level. And so with the orange, we still do have to test our skilled nursing staff twice weekly, so we are currently still testing in that manner. If we do get to yellow, I believe it becomes once weekly. Is that correct, Tammy? At yellow, so as we get there, we'll be able to kind of reduce that number of testing per the CMS standards. If you've noticed also, and if you've turned on the news at all, you'll see a lot of stuff about this whole supply chain mess, the struggles with the supply chain. So we have been impacted here at Southport Square as well by some supply chain struggles. That's anything from chemicals, building materials, food, even paint, believe it or not. We have struggled to get paint and paint colors that match. So you'll see some of the touch-up paint might not be exact right now as we go around and try to get some things touched up, but we are doing the best we can to match what we can. There's just a limit on our colors of paint. So we are feeling it here. There's some predictions that maybe this lasts into 2022. You know, nobody knows at this point. But we are working as quickly as we possibly can to make sure that if there is anything that's going to impact us that we can't get, that we're finding another supplier, another provider to provide that good. But if you are doing any Christmas shopping, please make sure you get that ordered now. Also, visitor restrictions changed with the change in our COVID positivity rates here in the county. We did change our visitor restrictions here in the independent living side of things. So if you do have visitors on our campus, they are allowed to be in common area spaces now. I did send out a memo on Friday. If you did not receive that, please let us know. We'll get you a copy of it. But we are allowing visitors to be back on our campus in common area spaces out and about in the village, those areas. The one place that we still are asking that visitors not be is in our dining rooms at this time, and that is more just due to a capacity standpoint, to make sure we can get as many residents there as we possibly can at this time. Please just remind your staff or your visitors that they are to wear a mask while they are on our campus at all times, unless they're in your apartment, and then it's your choice, of course, if you'd like to allow them to take their mask off. We did implement our vaccine mandate policy with our staff members. So as of October 16th, we did have, unfortunately, 24 staff members that were placed on an administrative leave. They do have 30 days to make a decision if they'd like to get vaccinated. Since we did go through that administrative leave process, we have had 2 staff members that have gone and got vaccinated and come back. So that's good news. We thought that, you know, those 24, we might not have that many coming back, but it's been pretty good that we've seen some of those folks coming back through the process. So they do have till November 15th to be vaccinated, otherwise they would be terminated at that point, and we'll be working through that process. Staffing is still quite a bit of a challenge for us. Obviously, if you've seen in our dining rooms, one, we apologize that we're having to do this at this time. We are working very diligently to hire folks. We are seeing new applicants come through our application process, and we're trying to get interviews scheduled as quick as possible. We have 2 job fairs in addition that we'll be participating in coming up in the next week. We just had one over the weekend, and we had one a little while back as well. So we're trying to do what we can to reach out and make sure that we have our name out there and let them know that we are hiring. I would thank everybody that came to our flu and COVID booster shot clinic. It was a little bit of a different process this time. Unfortunately, CVS, who administered the clinic, changed their front-end process. So previously, when we did our COVID shots way back in January and February, they were able to kind of just take the paperwork, take it with them, and input a lot of that paperwork after the fact. This time they wanted to have all the paperwork input in their system prior to the shots being administered. And we were also doing 2 shots this time for some people. So I appreciate everybody's patience. It did take a little bit longer to get folks through, but with CVS team and our staff here, we were able to accommodate all the residents that wanted to get that flu or booster shot, and really went as smooth as we could possibly imagine. So thank you. I appreciate everybody being patient with that. And if you're still interested, we don't have the ability to do flu shots here for any of our residents. We do, obviously, you can go to just about any CVS, Walgreens, whatever for a flu shot. And also those COVID booster shots are available as well at most of the drugstores. So if somebody's having a hard time getting a flu shot or a booster shot, please reach out to us. Jerry Faith would be more than happy to work with you to try to make sure we can get that done for you. Hopefully everybody had the chance to get it while it was here on site. I wanted to give you a quick update on several projects. So we had several smaller projects that were ready to go this year, and we had put them off pending the approval of the Gables East project. And so when the Gables East project was approved, our owners, Healthpeak, said, well, you can also still go and do those other projects that we had initially set aside in the budget for this year as well. So that pushed everything back in the year as far as timing to get them done. And so we worked very quickly with vendors to get quotes. Randy was heavily involved in trying to get quotes pulled from a lot of our vendors and get them approved. And so we have a lot of projects in the works right now, to the tune of, I thought it was interesting, $3.9 million of projects going on right now. So that's just the projects that I'm getting ready to read to you. We also have other projects that total another almost $1 million in roofing and other stuff that we have to do, but you don't necessarily notice as much, okay? So here's some of the projects that we currently have going on that will be things that you'll see visibly and physically on our campus. So our pool resurfacing and pool deck replacement, that is an approved project. That one was a little over $100,000, and we'll be working through that. We are in the selection process currently. Once we select the pavers and the tile and all that stuff, it is a 6-week lead time on pavers right now. Or I'm sorry, 16 week. Hopefully that's what I said, not 6 weeks. 16 weeks, so it's almost 4 months. So we are we have cut the PO for the vendor, we have made a payment to the vendor, so we are locked and ready to go with this vendor. It will take some time for those pavers to come to get here on site. Once we have those, we'll be scheduling the time for that the pool to be completed, which will be some downtime in our pool, unfortunately. The automated and key fob exterior door projects, we are almost complete on that. We are awaiting the final key fob component that will then be installed, and those doors will be operational. That again is kind of tied up in that supply chain challenge right now, and trying to figure out when those will arrive here. Our assurance system, so that's the system in your apartment that you pull your cord or push your button in the morning, and your smoke alarms in your apartments will be replaced as part of a project that was a little over a $400,000 project. And the vendor has been here to kind of work through the timeline. As we get a little bit further along, we'll get the exact time frame, and they have the equipment here ready to go. We'll communicate out, because that will be people coming into the apartments to replace some of those pull cords, as well as smoke alarms. You'll see some folks working in our hallways, putting in new access points because it is a wireless system, and we'll be using those access points to function off of. So, great part about that is, I think I mentioned here before, those are motion activated check-ins. So in the mornings when you get up, you can kind of go use your restroom. It's going to automatically check in the morning. Somebody did ask about if you had like maybe a larger pet, whether it would trigger it. And there is technology built in that it recognizes an animal versus a human. Crazy, who knows how this technology works, but it is already, it's been tried, it is used in a lot of communities, and it works very well. We have cement work that will be commencing soon. Around our campus, we have quite a few areas. There will be new sidewalks for our pickleball and tennis courts. There will be a new parking area for golf carts in front of Gables West, where there were some plants that had to be removed for safety purposes. And then also there will be a new courtyard, paved courtyard, right here behind Town Hall, between the shuffleboard courts and the bistro. So if folks would like to eat outside but not under the cover, maybe on a nice fall day or something like that, will be available for us. We'll also be available for when we have entertainment to have some additional seating area that can bleed out into that area. We also received approval, very excited about this, to install a 60-foot long dock in front of our campus out by our sales center. That is going to be on Eagle Lake, if you're familiar with the different lakes that we have. That is going to have a sidewalk that will come off of our sales center parking lot. It will go straight out toward the lake. We'll have a little picnic area there with a grill that will be available for residents to use at any time. And then we'll have the dock that will extend out about 60 feet, and at the end of that we'll have a gazebo at the end of the dock. So a covered gazebo, so you can sit out there and maybe enjoy the lake on a nice afternoon. Very excited about that project. And then last but certainly not least, our Gables East renovation project. That is the largest project that we have currently in the planning stages. And the proposals have been sent out to contractors at this point. We are waiting on the bids to come back in. No selections have been made for flooring, paint color, furniture, all that stuff. That's not done yet. That will be done in tandem with our Gables East renovation committee. So our designer has been working on those options to be able to pull out for our residents to review and make a selection. As we get that, hopefully within the next month, we'll be scheduling that through Phyllis, whom I know is not able to attend today, but we'll be working with her on that. And then the last thing, just as a reminder, I think y'all have seen and heard probably a little bit already about our 34th anniversary, but that is coming up November 4th. Very excited about the anniversary event and hope y'all are able to attend. It'll be a wonderful evening to spend with y'all. So anyway, that is my report. I apologize for leaving that.
Okay. Any response from the council?
I have a question. Could you explain, because I know some folks that live independently are confused about the visitation policy over to Harbor Health?
Okay. So the visitation policy in Harbor Health, and I'm going to ask maybe David and Tammy to come up and speak to their areas. Are you guys able to come up and just speak? So we do have in the assisted living, memory care, and in skilled nursing, there are different rules and regulations that we have to follow, and they do change based on our number of COVID cases that we have. So I'll let them give a quick update. That's a great question, but I'll let them give a quick update on what their visitation policy is currently and how they kind of determine that.
In the health center, in the skilled nursing, the first floor, all visits are scheduled. Okay? That way we can control the number of people in the building, because we're not mandating that visitors be vaccinated. And we don't want to have two people in a semi-private room have visitors all together with a possible exposure, right? There's no limit to the number of visitors if you take the patient outside. On admission, we quarantine the patient until we get the result of a PCR COVID test, which is usually 1 to 2 days. That's if they're vaccinated. If they are not vaccinated, they are quarantined for 10 days. So no visitation during quarantine. If someone is on hospice or transitioning, is having some difficulty transitioning to this level of care, we can qualify a visitor as a compassionate care visitor, and that's unlimited visitation for that person. Any questions about that?
So that is specific for the skilled nursing.
Right.
Who do you call to make an appointment?
You call the main number, and then we'll transfer you into the social services department.
For what services?
Social services. Uh-huh.
So just as clarity, so that is the specific process and procedure for the first floor for anybody in skilled nursing. And the reason that, is separated out, we wish we could make them the same, they're just, covered under different regulations based on their licensure. Okay, so that's Tammy's area, first floor skilled nursing. If you have questions about visitation, the front desk will get you to, either Tammy or Sandy or social services that can answer questions about it. If you want to schedule, call that front desk and speak with social services to visit somebody over there. Now we'll go over to David, who, David is responsible for our assisted living and memory care second and third floors. He'll share with us that process.
Well, thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. So in assisted living and memory care, it's along the lines of the visitation here in independent living. So no visitation needs to be scheduled. You're welcome to come on over, sign into the kiosk right at the front, and answer the questions that the kiosk asks you. We do ask that you please keep your mask on when you visit. Just like in independent living, when you enter into the room, it is up to the resident's decision to take off the mask or keep the mask on. When we get new admissions, it's really the same as Tammy down in the health center. If the resident is vaccinated, we do test upon admission. If they're not vaccinated, we do a 10-day quarantine as well, just to make sure that we're keeping our staff and our residents safe. And we don't have the dining room open at this moment, but if the dining room were to be open at this time, we would ask that visitation is not during dining hours. Therefore, you would keep your mask on and then you couldn't visit during a meal time. Any questions?
Thank you both, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other comments from the, okay? If not, moving on, for representative reports, start with you, Peggy, please.
Testing, okay. First and second floors, Gables East, had their meeting on Wednesday, October 13. We elected the floor representatives who had been serving last year unanimously. We do not have a fire and safety rep. In regards to a Christmas party, we decided that with the limited staff that we would just pass on a Christmas party and be thoughtful about staff uses and not have one. So our next meeting will be November 10th. Any other things will be found in written minutes.
Dorothy?
Our meeting was held Thursday, October the 21st. Our speaker was Angela Muzio, Director of Maintenance. She provided information concerning the remodeling of empty apartments, especially about plumbing, and also the many areas she covers in her position. The chairman did not report any areas of concern that were not already being taken care of or that are unchangeable due to COVID implications. Our next meeting will be held the 18th of November.
Okay, we had nominations for the 2022 committee representatives and the floor representative. Our election will take place in November. Concerns from the residents are the elevator inspections seem to be not up to date. There was a question about the temperature in the spa and the sound on 195. Some folks were concerned that the rebroadcast of resident council, they couldn't hear it. Our next meeting will be on Monday, November 1st.
Nancy, that's your fifth floor, please.
Scott Smolinski.
Andrew, will you turn your microphone on?
I did.
Scott Smolinski, head chef, was our speaker. He shared information about his background as well as the difficulties dining services is facing currently. These include shortness of staff, additional staff openings, to employees not getting vaccinated for COVID. Food items not available, tremendous price increases in some food items, as well as questions and asked and for paid, as well as challenges. He answered residents' individual and general questions and asked for patience as the kitchen and dining staff starts to take care of us. New residents, Kathy Potts and Rachel Proffer, were introduced, and he welcomed Kathy's husband, Joe. Joe had to stay in the unit with the Xfinity rep, but we're equally glad that he's on our floor. Elections for floor leader for the next year was held. I will be continuing in that role and appreciate the vote of confidence of residents' attendance. While the date and time for our holiday meal has been finalized, we need to work out details with Brenda and her staff.
Thank you. Bob, how about we have Lita have you give your report next, okay?
The Harbor Terrace Resident Council meeting was held in the social area of the third floor on October 14th. The meeting was called to order at 2:30 p.m. And all the departments that were discussed all came up with a negative report as far as any complaints or concerns. David Reiser and Brian Hess were in attendance, and David gave the management report for Harbor Terrace. Brian also spoke regarding the COVID-19 situation. The meeting was adjourned at 2:45 p.m. And our next meeting will be held at November 18th at 2:30.
Thank you. Bob Case?
Thank you. Thank you. It's right here. All set, thank you. First floor, Gables West first floor. The cleaning of fans, put in a work order for maintenance to take care of. Second floor. Just a side comment, if you don't mind. Wanda Bell, who reported on a steel drum presentation, and her report for activities. This instrument turned out to be a dressed-up 55-gallon drum. Excellent workmanship, no dents. Halloween treats, but no tricks. The event would be over before 7 p.m. Dining, no report. No one represents this committee at this time. Housekeeping, skipped this month. No, there was housekeeping this month, just no report. Concerns. A concrete repair needed outside at the end of the walkway from the exit door near elevators. I didn't check that, so I'm not quite sure if it's very bad or not. Now, one or more laundry rooms do not have an iron and or broom. These items are essential to having fully functional laundry room. As on the Gables West first floor, resident caretakers are using a laundry room and not cleaning up after. But we can't blame them completely if there are no brooms. Pardon me a second. Okay, that takes care of the floor reports. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Judith Lackman, third floor report.
Okay. Mine is short and sweet. The meeting was scheduled for October 15th, but had to be canceled because our meeting is held at the same time that the booster shots were scheduled. So our next meeting is going to be November 19th with Steve White as the speaker, and this will be the third time, so we hope it's a charm. I do have one comment that one of the residents made. Apparently, outside of town hall, the sprinklers are on when bingo is over at night, and it's dark, and apparently it's slippery. So I leave it up to Randy to figure out a solution for that, but several people did mention it to me.
Okay. Beverly, fourth floor report.
Our meeting was held October 14th at 10 o'clock in the game room. There were 13 residents in attendance. Steve White was our speaker on security and transportation. He reported many employees have left work at Southport for several reasons. New equipment will soon be completed on outside doors. In-room wireless sensors will be installed by the end of the year. Steve said this is good equipment. Pets will not be able to activate the sensors, hopefully. Committee reports were presented. Remarks concerned about dining room reservations and noise from work being done in apartments. And I'm happy to announce that I have a Fire and Safety Representative Bill Beck, alternate town bureau. Our next meeting will be November the 11th at 10 a.m. in the game room.
Thank you.
I do have one comment, if you want it now or later. The washing machine on 4th floor DeSoto has been out for a couple of weeks. We can go to another wing, and one of the residents was not happy with us there.
Okay.
And a report.
Thank you. Fifth floor report, our meeting was on October the 13th, fourth floor game room. We started at 10 and ended at 10:30. 20 residents attended. Ruth Merrifeld gave the comprehensive activities report. Other reports were not available. The dining situation was reviewed, as was Brenda Davila's memo. We may lose almost 30 staff due to the vaccine mandate. Those wishing to volunteer to help the dining staff should see Brenda. Due to staffing limitations, our Christmas meal will now be held in the evening. Elevators and stairwells are in need of cleaning. At next month's meeting, November 10th, we hope to have a speaker on Medicare. And then I might add Brian Hess has agreed to come to our meeting and speak on that. Thank you. Any comments, council or management?
Mr. President,
Bob?
I apologize. Excuse me. Get fired up here. I apologize. I have a bit of a digital discrepancy as far as my touching of paper, and I failed to be able to turn a page in my report, so I was hoping you would give me a second chance to finish my report.
Go ahead.
Okay? Did you say okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right then. Less than positive comments. Cushions will not be cleaned anymore. Missing toolbox after exterminator visit. Does anyone accompany them when they come into an apartment? Apparently not. They can enter via a key fob. Laundry rooms. Some residents have caretakers who do their laundry. These caretakers need to be reminded of the need for them to clean up after themselves. Pockets with Kleenex are not needed to whiten the room. Kudos, and I was asked specifically to make sure I said something, which I'm saying now. Kudos plus for Executive Director Brian Hess, his executive assistant, and the directors for exemplary performance during difficult times, meaning COVID-19. We all thank you. Be back again next month. Be patient. Thank you.
Okay, Bob. Brian, you're on.
Thank you. So a couple of items just as follow-up. Dorothy, I just wanted to note in your report, so Angela Muzio in your report was listed as the maintenance director, but I wanted to clarify that Randy is our maintenance director, Angela is a maintenance manager. She is still in leadership in the maintenance department, but Randy is our director of maintenance. So just for clarity, Randy is still with us. He's in the back of the room. He is still our director. So a couple of items. John, the elevator inspections. Randy, I believe those inspections are in the works. They have been. I believe the inspector has been here. We're waiting on the state to issue the paperwork.
Yeah, there was a problem with the Gables West elevators running on the generator. We're getting that checked out right now.
Okay, so we are in the works with the state on the inspections. They are past due. The listing in the elevator report is listed as a past due. We have been in works with the state, so we are still in compliance, but we do have to get those elevators finally inspected. We'll definitely take a look at the temperature in the spot. Does anybody know if that is still an issue as of today? Okay, we'll take a look and make sure that it's running at the right temperature. The sound on channel 195, so I believe that sounded like it was after or from a resident council recording. You know, one of the challenges with our recordings and our TV, we have multiple sound systems that we're coordinating with. So as we have this broadcast on live TV, nothing goes through channel 195 unless it goes through the microphone system. In live TV, when we record it on our iPad, nothing goes in the iPad that gets replayed later unless it makes it to the iPad in the back of that room. So it is two separate sound systems. One of the things we have been working on is trying to utilize our new microphones and make sure that the volume is loud enough that it will project out to be picked up on our iPad, and we might have to still do some fine-tuning, John. So thank you for sharing, and we'll definitely review that and see if we can get the sound a little bit better. Bob, your note of concrete repaired outside of Gables West. Randy, you and I maybe can take a look at that this week and just look at that back. If we have the concrete company coming, maybe we can ask them to repair that place as well and charge us separately. Also, brooms and irons needed in the laundry rooms. It sounds like we need to just go through and do an inventory count and figure out what we need. So I'll work through that. I believe Sheila maybe can help me work through that, but we'll go through the process and make sure that we have those accounted for specifically in those areas. And then the sprinklers outside of Town Hall, Judith, I think you mentioned that. Randy, maybe you and I can look at the timer specifically. I believe that's Sunday night, is that correct? Saturday night? Saturday night, okay. So we'll take a look and see if we can change that maybe to a different day or a different time on Saturdays. Dishwashing, or I'm sorry, not a dishwashing machine, a washing machine not working on the 4th floor D-wing. Randy, let's take a look at that one also. I'm not sure if that's needing a replacement, waiting on something to come, or if we can maybe find one that we can put there in the interim to get that working and up and about. Elevators and stairwells needing cleaning. Sheila, I know we do have schedules for some of those areas, but you and I maybe we can sit down and address, when those need cleaning, if they do need cleaning currently. I believe, and Sheila, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, the elevators, I think, are cleaned during the common area space cleaning, is that correct? So those should be cleaned once a week? Daily, okay, daily. So we'll have to look and see, are those the elevators in Gables West that were reported as being dirty?
For example, the elevator that the movers use, there's been a white spot on the floor for weeks and other marks.
Okay, all right. So let's take a look at that elevator, Sheila, if we can, this week, and see if we can get that white spot up. It might need some extra scrubbing or something.
Brian, that's a chip in the floor.
Oh, it is
It's
a
not
chip?
snake. Yeah.
Okay, all right, so we'll have to come up with a different game plan on that one. If that's a permanent mark, a permanent chip, we'll have to figure out how to fix that, okay? Thank you. And then, Bob, there was a question about a missing toolbox after an exterminator visit. Do you know if anybody reported that to security already?
I believe not.
Okay, all right, so Steve, we'll do some follow-up and make sure that we get the report on that and figure out what's going on. And then we will make sure, Randy, do you know if the exterminator has somebody accompany him into the apartments, or does he go on his own typically?
I will have to check with Angela.
Okay, all right, so we'll do some follow-up on that and make sure that they are, vetted and that we have some security over that, but I'll make sure that we follow up with that specific resident. If you can maybe share with me who that was that reported that after the meeting. Thank you. I believe that's all I have.
Thank you. Any other questions or things? All right, moving on then, the standing committee reports, activities. John Doradics.
Okay, November's a busy month, but before we get to November, tomorrow is the pancake breakfast, last one for this year. Because of poor attendance, we're going to go to quarterly. So please come out, support the pancake breakfast, because all the proceeds goes to the employee fund. Okay, then on November 4th, don't forget, Brian already mentioned it, the anniversary celebration. It's going to be in Town Hall and in the village. And SMETA has big plans, so make sure you come out and support it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Your digit problem is catchy, Bob. November 10th, there will be a Veterans Day celebration at the flagpole at 9:30, and then at 11 there's a Veterans Appreciation Pizza Party in Town Hall. It's for veterans and their spouses or guests only. On Friday, November 12th, there's a Friends for Life dance and happy hour in the Town Hall and Village. There's going to be entertainment in Town Hall, entertainment in the village. Bring a friend that does not live here at Southport Square and let them see what a great place it is. And November 17th, there's a volunteer pizza party in Town Hall. You must sign up, but if you volunteer anywhere on campus, SMETA wants to give you some pizza. And that's it. It's a busy month. She's got a lot of stuff scheduled, so please pay attention to your weekly schedule.
Thank you, John. Dining, Judith Lackland.
The dining services meeting was held on October 8th, and I'm going to skip most of it because Brenda presented all of the new changes to dining services, which have subsequently been given to us in various announcements. But one thing that she did mention that may be of interest to people is that the Gables West Lounge / bar is now open, but since there will not be a bartender, residents will need to provide their own drinks, glasses, snacks, etc., and clean up after themselves. The doors to the lounge are always open, but normally people show up to party at around 3 o'clock. And so far, we usually get at least a dozen people there every evening. So Gables East residents are invited as well. If anybody wants to come, bring something to drink and socialize, that's what you can do. Brenda also told us that Cisco is having problems obtaining enough food for all of its clients, and that's due to shortages in general. But she said that we have identified several other sources to get meat and produce. So, you know, as we know, we are still getting fed, and we're getting fed well. So the details of what was discussed at the meeting are going to be, of course, in the minutes to this one, but I think most people have gotten this information from Brian's messages.
Okay. Housekeeping, I haven't seen that. Dawn, do you have a housekeeping report?
I do.
Could it be briefly summarized?
It's 2 pages long. I don't think there's anything brief on this.
Just attach them, yes. Most of it will be in this.
You want me to go ahead and attach them, or just read it, little bullet points here?
Just, can you briefly summarize what's there? Anything
No.
important? No?
No.
All right.
Actually, yes, we'll start out. There are currently 3 vacancies in housekeeping. Each housekeeper cleans 6 to 8 apartments each day. As more apartments are occupied, additional employees will be hired. Window cleaning, glass window cleaning is scheduled for November. All residents will receive this service except if you specifically opt out. To opt out, notify the concierge. There is no charge for glass window cleaning. One floor representative asked if the screens are also clean. The answer was yes. If you have no screen, one will be provided. Please call in a work order for this maintenance to service this. I ask that when glass windows are being cleaned, have the workers put down old towels on the floor to assure that the dirty water drips don't stain carpets. Final window cleaning is performed at the request of the resident and paid for by the residents. Guest suites, guests are still not allowed to stay in the guest suites at this time due to COVID. If an apartment has 2 bathrooms and uses one rarely, it is good practice for the resident to periodically run some water in the shower and sink drains to assure that sewer gas odors and bugs cannot enter the apartment. Water in those P-traps does evaporate over time.
Okay.
And I'll put the rest in the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Fire and safety, Bob Case. Question, yeah?
Dawn, Dawn, did you get the report that I sent to you from housekeeping on your computer?
Yes, that's what I just wrote. That's what I just read off of.
Yes, okay. So it will be printed in the council minutes under housekeeping as last month?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, moving on, Bob.
Thank you. The October fire safety meeting was opened by Randy, head of maintenance, by informing us that the fire alarm has to be tested on all shifts. An example of what can set off the alarm is burnt food, as that occurred in Harbor Health. Sprinklers only work one time and then have to be replaced. A monitoring company has been hired to respond if an alarm goes off, and the fire department will be called unless Randy has told them, the monitoring company, that it is just a drill. The all clear is repeated 3 times. Fire extinguishers are not required in apartments. Hoses outside of apartments were removed. The insurance companies don't want residents fighting fires. Floor representatives need to remind Fire Safety Committee members to attend these meetings. The previous meeting, attendance was poor. This one I hesitate to mention, but I have to because it was brought up at the meeting. I can't disregard residents' requests. Residents on the Fire Safety Committee want the issue of a marked area for walkers and bikers along the roadway revisited. That's my report, respectfully submitted by myself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Finance, Peg Morgan.
Brian actually mentioned quite a few of the things that I was going to talk about, so you beat me to it. But basically, in September, there were 2, I'm talking September, 2 move-ins, 1 move-out. The occupancy rate for independent is above budget. However, assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing were all below budget, resulting in lower revenues. We are anticipating numerous move-ins during the 4th quarter. And that is one of the things that is being so actively pursued, certainly by the sales staff, and also with the upgrading of various apartments, which have, obviously these buildings are not new, and they've needed that. And by pre-doing a lot of the work, then there won't be a lag as far as people being able to move in, as much of a lag. Now, if people want to do something extra, that's fine, but they'll have a good start. And so, as it's been mentioned, it can be irritating for a while, but we will move past that. And it could certainly be worthwhile. Is this a problem?
No, it's the feedback. Both of them are on, that's why.
Okay, is that better? That's good. Okay, sorry. As mentioned, we are anticipating numerous move-ins during the 4th quarter. Wages and benefits in general were above budget due to higher recruiting costs. The sales department is working very, very, very hard on selling the independent units and all of our services. Also, the recruiting as far as staff goes is major. As was mentioned, we are participating in various events. Well, this costs money, so of course, marketing expenses were over budget due to the events, and referral expenses from internal sources and external agencies. So right now, as hard as they're working, and hopefully if we do see the more move-ins, particularly in independent, in the 4th quarter, this will prove worthwhile, but the staff is working very hard on this. As was mentioned, the food and beverage expense is flat to budget, but food prices are higher than budgeted inflation rates. And as was mentioned, there are shortages and difficulties in obtaining our food. So that may actually end up being over budget for the year, but right now we're right at it. And as was mentioned, many apartments are being renovated to be ready for expected move-in and potential sales. So in general, everybody's working very hard to get us up above the 65% occupancy rate in independent. And that concludes the report.
Okay, thank you. special committee reports. The scholarship fund, I might mention, thanks to the estate of Betty Brooks, who made obviously a very nice contribution to the scholarship fund. And as a reminder, this past year they gave out 14 scholarships of $2,000 each, as compared to last year's 7 scholarships at $1,000. Employee Appreciation Fund. Dawn, do you happen to have a number of where they stand right now?
I only have from last,
I looked down this morning, as of the end of September, and we had collected $52,430, which is well short of the $140,000 goal.
She does not.
I can sort of
Good.
confess that, Henry was going to.
it's not on.
You need to put that thing on your head properly. You get too much
No, it
weight.
messes up my curls. Okay, no, Henry was actually, he and Norm Yule were supposed to, last Monday, do a collection, but unfortunately Henry decided he'd rather be in the hospital than do another collection, so he will do it sometime soon, when he can find another person to do it with him.
I see. Now, just as a reminder, I believe the cutoff date is November 4th for contributions to this fund, so anyone who has not contributed, please consider doing so. Okay? Thank you. Health news, I think we'll just attach that to the minutes, unless there's something critical, but, okay? Under new business, I got to put down residence council shortages. As you know, we have no representative from Gables East second floor, nor Gables West second floor. It's been handled by Peggy and by Bob Case. Extra work on them. We at present do not have anyone officially to give the housekeeping report. We do not have a secretary. By the way, I've been doing that, composing and then passing out the agenda. It takes me all of 30 minutes a month, so it's not an overly burdensome job. Let's face it, Dawn does the lion's share of the work. And of course, thank goodness Peg Varga has come on board to help us out as to chair the Finance Committee, where it's normally a residence council job. The question is, how come we're having a problem attracting people to the council? I think I would like the council to go back, think about it, talk to your residents, and then we'll discuss it further next month, okay? Unless there's any comments on that? If not, if there's nothing else, the meeting is over. Now, as we do with our adjournment, if there's any questions from the residents, any resident have any questions or comments to make? No? Okay, folks. See, next month, our meeting will be on November the 23rd. Yeah, they've already closed. Yeah. Okay? See you, folks.